Andy, my dude, have you heard of the magical website builder known as Squarespace?
Ugh, not another Squarespace ad. I feel like every podcast is sponsored by them.
Hey, don't knock it till you try it. Yes, okay, it is overhyped, but actually it lives up to the hype. Squarespace is like a website fairy godmother. With a click of a button, your site transforms into a beautiful masterpiece.
A website fairy godmother? That sounds interesting. What makes it so magical?
Well, for starters, those slick templates make anyone look like a professional web designer. Pick one, customize the colors and fonts to match your brand, and voila. Plus, the drag and drop fluid engine is so easy, your grandma could build a site on Squarespace.
Well, she did knit me a lovely scarf last Christmas. Maybe website design is next.
Exactly. And when you're ready to sell your Nana's handmade scarves online, Squarespace has built-in e-commerce. Add a store with one click. Get flexible payment options. Then watch those sales roll in. And when she wants to teach others her steezy scarf skills, Squarespace's new courses feature is just the ticket. Nana can set up her curriculum and enrollments and payments in a snap and become the next e-knitting influencer.
Oh, wow, you really sold me with the grandma angle. Sign me up for that free trial.
Just go to thenextreel.com/Squarespace and transform your site into a beautiful Squarespace masterpiece.
Well, thanks, Pete. Even though it's overhyped, Squarespace actually sounds perfect for Nana's site's needs. Appreciate the warning on the ads, though. I'll brace myself next time I listen to a podcast.
Anytime. Let me know if you need any help getting that site up and running. Andy, can you believe we've almost hit 700 episodes of The Next Reel?
I know, it's crazy. And with all the other episodes in our family of podcasts, we are well over 1,200 episodes of movie conversation. It's really pretty amazing that we've gotten to have these in-depth movie chats every week for over a decade now.
And we couldn't have done it without our loyal community of film fans. Their support over the years has meant so much.
For sure. That reminds me, we should give the merch store a shout out. Buying shirts from thenextreel.com/merch is a great way listeners can continue to support the show. Plus, they get to sport our great designs.
Absolutely. I think sometimes folks forget we have a variety of shirts, mugs, phone cases, and more available. In fact, a great place to start is with a shirt sporting the Next Reel's logo.
We also have that classic Fast Times Spicoli Surf School tee, or the weirdly popular Rusty's European Tour shirt.
The one from National Lampoon's European Vacation. Why is that so popular?
Search me, but we have sold a ridiculous number of those. I guess there are a lot of Rustys taking trips to Europe?
We're always adding new designs based on movies we've covered, like our brand new design for a streetcar named Desire, featuring a streetcar named Desire. So if you want to rep your love of TNR and films, head to thenextreel.com/merch.
Every purchase helps us continue to have these weekly in-depth conversations. So visit thenextreel.com/merch today.
And as always, thanks for listening and being a part of the Next Reel community. We've got lots more great movie chats coming your way. I'm Pete Wright.
And I'm Andy Nelson.
Welcome to The Next Reel. When the movie ends,
our conversation begins.
In just a matter of seconds, you're going to hear a classic episode of this show from back in the day when we called ourselves Movies We Like.
It took us a while to settle into the show's format, so you'll notice some differences as you listen to these episodes. For instance, it takes us a bit of time to actually get into the conversation about the movie. Things like that.
But we're still proud of the conversations about the movies themselves, and we think they're worth keeping in the library.
So enjoy these episodes from our back catalog. And you can become part of our Discord community, learn more about the show, and find out how you can become a supporting member at thenextreel.com.
So thank you, everybody, for downloading and listening to The Next Reel. We appreciate your time and attention, and we hope you enjoy the show. Hi.
Frog throat.
I did. I just then, right after I started pressing record, I got a little frog.
Oh.
I'm thrilled, Dr. Nelson, once again to be talking to you.
Likewise, Professor.
How have you been? Let's do let's talk about your life in cinema.
Well, it's just been a busy week. It's been busy. Actually, I didn't have a chance to watch anything this week, really. Except, well, I can get to some clips of really terrible movies that I of all things ended up looking at. But no, it was a busy week. I was traveling, and then it's just a lot of work, a lot of grading papers. It's just kind of nonstop week. But it's good.
Well, you look good, I'm sure, for all the work.
I look good through the airwaves.
I have not seen anything except for the movie that we were talking about this evening, but I have watched a ton of trailers, and one trailer that I have watched enough times to actually be equivalent to a film.
Oh wow, that's a lot of.
It is a lot of
trailer. I hope you can quote it. The whole thing.
No, go ahead. Can you guess what trailer came out this week that a guy like me would watch? Exactly 90 times.
that's a little more than a movie.
Yeah, well, it's epic. I watched it epic because I've shown everybody this trailer.
It has to be. What was it? Was it what's it? Now I'm blanking on
this is a fun game.
It's it's that Colin Farrell movie.
No, I did
watch
that.
That was last week.
That was last week. No, but no, it wasn't actually. It was not. It was, and it was also this week. Yeah, so I suppose we should talk about that if you want to. The Total Recall 2012 reboot.
Yes. We don't need to talk about it. We can, but I don't know. See, I haven't even seen a trailer, so I don't know what trailers are about. I know it's been nutty.
That's like you not researching. It's someone like you. You usually are so on top of these things. You're way on top of these things.
Yeah.
Well, that was not the trailer I was watching 90 times.
It was the trailer for Hop 2.
That's just mean. It was the trailer for Ted. The Red Band trailer for Ted.
I don't even know what you're talking about. You're talking in riddles now.
Oh my goodness.
I have to go to Apple now and look at.
You really do.
Ted.
You really, really do.
Oh, okay. Now
Ted is real. TedIsReal.com.
I don't even know what this is about. I just remember seeing somebody posted, the Family Guy people made this live action movie. But I don't know what to say about it.
Seth MacFarlane did this. He did this thing with Mark Wahlberg and Mila Kunis. And so the concept of the film is Mark Wahlberg, when he was a little boy, has this lovable teddy bear, this giant teddy bear when he's a little boy. It's like his size. And during, a late night storm or something, I don't know, he gets struck by lightning or something. And magically, as he wishes. 90 times,
Well,
I'll tell you straight. I've only seen the Green Band trailer once, and that's the one that has all the story in it. The Red Band trailer is all the swearing.
I gotcha.
So the story is apparently he gets struck by lightning or something and comes to life. And you know how most of these stories kind of play out, which we've totally seen before. There's the teddy bear to the protagonist is this living sort of guide or this living sort of fictitious thing that nobody else can see, right? I mean, you've totally seen that conceit before. Well, this is much more, goes down the realm of kind of Chucky, where Ted is his best friend, and ages and matures with him. And so they smoke pot together. They go out with girls together. Ted, the teddy bear, has a job, goes to the grocery store. He's just this foul-mouthed, awful thing. And so he is living with Mark Wahlberg's character as Mark Wahlberg meets Mila Kunis, and they try to develop a relationship, but it doesn't. That's the fun. And the bottom line is there is not a lot that is actually funnier than a swearing teddy bear that drinks beer. There's not a lot that's funnier than that.
Yeah, you probably don't need a whole lot more.
No, you could just say foul-mouthed teddy bear, and you have me for the whole hour and a half. I am in, and that comes out July 13th. I'm very, very excited for Ted.
So let me ask, are you a fan of that TV show Wilfred? Is it
That's
Wilfred or
with
Wilford?
with Frodo and the dog.
Yeah, right. Because it's kind of a similar conceit where a man thinks, or his dog starts talking to him, and in the show, it's actually a human being dressed in a dog costume who's actually standing there talking to him.
Based on the I think it's an Australian show originally, and the dog, the guy who plays the dog, is actually the writer, the guy who conceived the show.
Mm.
And I am not into that show. I did not get into it, and I think it's because I think Frodo really requires a sort of a specific role. I don't like him in this thing. I like him in a lot of stuff. What's his name? Come on, Eternal Sunshine.
Yeah.
What's his name, Andy? God, you're the guy. This is on you. This is on you.
I want you to guess. Here, I'll name movies that he's been in. You come up with his name. How about North?
I just don't even. I'm so mad at you right now. What is his name?
Was it The Good Son? Wasn't he in The Good Son? I think he was the good son, or was it the bad son, and he was the good one?
What's his name?
He was in that soccer movie. What was that called? Green something.
You're totally not helping. You're coming up with the most obscure movies ever.
He was in.
He was in Frodo. He was not in Harry Potter.
He was in Happy Feet.
Yes, he was.
And Happy Feet 2.
Yes, he was. He was Elijah Wood.
There you go.
He was. God,
there you go.
Who knew it would be Happy Feet that would bring it back to me?
Of all the things.
Of all the things that was...
Green Street Hooligans. That was the soccer movie. Right.
Well, okay. So that was the first trailer that I saw, that I watched a lot. There have been a lot of Avengers clips that have come out because, Avengers coming out next month. I am very excited for Avengers. I don't know if you are as excited as I am. I know we've talked about Avengers before. I'm very excited about Avengers.
I'm excited to watch it. I think that the cast is great. It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. I really didn't like Captain America, and so
Captain America 2 has a release date next year.
Yeah,
along with Thor 2 and Iron Man 3, all next year.
Oh my goodness, it's going to be crazy.
Big year.
Are they doing another Hulk movie or no?
Yeah, I think they are doing another Hulk movie, and I think they are doing also. I don't know. The speculation is that which one's going to come next, Wasp or Ant-Man, and neither of those are really as kind of headline-making characters. I don't think as the ones they've already got out there. But man, now that Disney has Marvel, man, they got a hell of a back catalog to pull from for these movies.
There's a lot of stuff that they can be doing with that. So it'll be interesting to see how they continue developing it. I have to say, it was really weird. I went with my daughter into the Disney store to look at, princess paraphernalia.
Of course.
And I turned around and there was a whole wall of Iron Man and Spider-Man. And I was like, what is going on? And then it finally clicked. Oh yeah, I'm like, that's not Disney, but yeah, of course they own all that stuff now, and so now, of course, they're profiting on it in every way they can.
That was really smart. Because of Disney's been really floundering, and I think we're finally, hopefully, getting up to speed with Pixar and Marvel, and they'll start turning out some strong properties again.
Well, having
like John Carter.
Yeah, that's exactly the direction they need to move in.
Well, no, you know what? Here's the problem. I don't even want to go into it. It was an execution problem, right? Yeah. They forgot forgot the tie-ins. Like how many? Okay, you walking through the store, and how many John Carter action figure toys are just falling off the shelves?
You think that's the problem?
How many video games? How many John Carter video games are there?
I think they gave up on trying to crank all that out because they realized no one actually was going to pay to see the movie.
Because it is not a movie that screams for that stuff. It's not a movie that screams tie-in, and that's what creates the vicious circle. Is when you have Woody that people see, love, buy, and then go see again.
Yeah. You have to love the characters in order to want the toys.
There was no story, and the thing that I've been saying after we talked about it last week, the thing I've been thinking more and more about this movie is that John Carter is not a lovable character, and the number one guy who should have known this, who should have figured this out, is Andrew Stanton. Andrew Stanton failed me on this one.
He failed me, and I haven't even seen it.
I don't know. Yeah.
I feel like it's been a failure for me, and I feel sad about it.
Let's talk about something happier. And it's related to John Carter only distantly.
Okay.
It makes me want to scream Riggins. He's got another one I'm pretty excited about. Savages. Where do you stand on Savages?
God, you're bringing all these things up. I feel so stupid. It's like I don't know anything that's going on.
I'm going to tell you, this is one I thought you would be excited about. So write this down because it's Savages. This is Oliver Stone's new movie.
Oh, pot growers. Ben and Chon face off against the Mexican drug cartel who kidnapped their shared girlfriend.
So a little weird, but Oliver Stone, right? Oliver Stone, he was so good for so long, right?
Well, he's done some good things.
And then he stopped doing good things. Well, he has done some good things, but I have been, let's just say, I was not interested in Wall Street 2. I tried to be, I was not.
It was not very strong. He had a good run in the 80s and into the 90s. The 90s is when he really started getting into the whole conspiracy theory thing. And, I think that kind of changed his direction a little bit and people kind of dismissed him a little bit. And then it's been here and there ever since.
All right. I'm going to tell you, let's see, from Platoon, Wall Street, Talk Radio, Born on the 4th of July, The Doors, JFK, Even Heaven and Earth, Natural Born Killers, Nixon, U-Turn. I liked all these movies a lot.
Any Given Sunday was fantastic.
Exactly. Any Given Sunday. And then, oh my goodness, Alexander, please, World Trade Center. W was marginal, south of the border. I didn't see. It was a documentary he did. Wall Street 2 was terrible. And so there's been a string of movies I was just really not into at all. And I think the trailer for Savages gets back to those movies that I was really interested. It's got a lot more Natural Born Killers in it than World Trade Center. I'm pretty excited about it. Looks like a great trailer. You got to watch it.
Yeah, I'll check it out. I'll have to check it out. Yeah.
Okay, what else do I want to tell you about? All right. So, what I've been doing this week, which I shouldn't be doing.
Other than watching trailers. Oh, that's right. There's some mysterious thing that you've been doing this week.
I've been reading the script to Prometheus.
Oh my goodness! Shame on you.
I know.
Shame on you.
You're
spoiling it all.
I'm totally spoiling it all.
Well, don't spoil it for me or any of our listeners.
Terrible.
We're going to talk.
Oh my gosh, no! It's terrible that I'm doing it. Let me tell you. Even if it's, even this, they could make this leaked version of the script, which who knows if it's legitimate. I don't know. Looks legitimate. I would want to see this movie badly.
Yeah,
I really would.
I have done that before with films where I've found the scripts, but usually it's films like G.I. Joe or things like of that caliber that I'm not too concerned if I'm spoiling it for myself. But, to be honest, one way or the other, it's going to be a good surprise, whether it's the surprise when you're reading the script or whether it's the surprise when you're watching the film. Either way, I'm hoping that you'll still get a good rise out of it.
That's a very zen approach to spoilerage.
Yeah.
I like how you think of that.
Yeah. So therefore, spoilers are okay.
I'm going to tell you, I'm very excited. I'm on the record. I'm very excited about it, especially this one part, and then that other part.
You did watch the TED Talk, right?
Oh yeah,
the Prometheus TED Talk.
It was fantastic. I posted that.
Great.
I totally Facebooked that bad.
Yeah, I did too. It was good stuff.
And here's the reason I bring that up is because John Spates, right? With Damon Lindelof, wrote the script, and John Spates. Do you hear? He has written I don't even think it's fair to even call it a reboot, but apparently Universal is rebooting The Mummy.
Another time,
and John Spates is apparently has written the script.
The
third Mummy movie. The first two I thought were frolicking good times. I really quite liked them. The third one was terrible, dumb.
The third one was the Scorpion King, right?
No, the third one that was a spin-off of the sequel.
Right. So the third one was the Chinese...
Was the Dragon Emperor or something.
See, I didn't see that one. I liked the concept. I thought the trailer
good.
looked pretty interesting, but it didn't pull it off, huh?
Yeah, no, Tomb of the Dragon Emperor was terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible. But The Mummy and The Mummy Returns I thought were great. So it'll be interesting to see if a good script can pull it off.
Well, here's the thing though, and this is the same goes for Spider-Man. Is it critical that things get rebooted so quickly? I mean, it's coming to this point in the studio system where they're so reliant upon these names that they can cash in on over and over again that they're not even going to like the next thing in the line. Like, what's the next superhero after Spider-Man that they could do?
They're just going to make Spider-Man
but no,
again.
let's just do Spider-Man again because that made so much money.
Yeah.
I don't know. And the same thing with The Mummy. It's like, I know that I don't know.
Well, okay. Do you want to talk about your article that you found? I just dropped something. That was so sad. I think it's been out since February, that article, I think. And it was something I think you've sent it to me before because I remember being sad about it.
And it was February of last year.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It's an old article. I don't know where that article is right now. I'd love to talk about it, but I don't have it in front of me. Do you?
No.
I'm so unprepared.
Only because
it's called here it is. The Day the Movies Died. It is a depressing article by Mark Harris, February 2011. Just really talking about the nature of film and how even a film that was original as Inception, Christopher Nolan, everyone was doubting that would do anything, even though this is a guy who made The Dark Knight and everything, but they were hesitant to give him the money and all that stuff. And they're just like, what, we'll let you do it because you're going to do Batman 3 and all this stuff. And it's just, no one had confidence in it because it's an original script and no one trusts in that anymore. And it's kind of a sad state that the industry is taking.
It doesn't seem to, even as February of last year, it doesn't seem to be getting much better. No,
it doesn't. I'm sure it's just only getting better. Getting worse. Well, and then, because he lists off all the, it's kind of funny. And of course, this is all dated, but where's his list? The films that came out in 2011, 4 adaptations of comic books, 1 prequel to an adaptation of a comic book, 1 sequel to a movie based on a toy, 1 sequel to a sequel to a sequel to a movie based on an amusement park ride, 1 prequel to a remake, 2 sequels to cartoons, 1 sequel to a comedy, an adaptation of a children's book, an adaptation of a Saturday morning cartoon, 1 sequel with a 4 in the title, 2 sequels with a 5 in the title, 1 sequel that, if it were inclined to use numbers, would have to have a 7.5 in the title. It was just, that was all last summer that was the last year.
What was the 7.5 one?
That was Harry Potter.
Part 2.
Mm-hmm.
That's fantastic. Although that was a good movie. I don't know if it's necessarily fair to count Harry Potter because that was a defined 7-part. Like there was a canon to Harry Potter. Like they knew when they started making Harry Potter that it was going to be 7 parts.
Well, yeah, but regardless, I think the point of the article is just the fact that, yes, it may have been an original novel, but it was still based on a novel.
Yeah, that's true.
And it was based on a series of novels. And so it's not something that could stand on its own.
Yeah. Now, we'll know we're really in trouble when they make, Harry Potter 8, Hermione's side of the tale.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Let's, I don't know. It does make me sad, and that's why it makes me so happy to talk about the movie that we're talking about tonight.
What a segue.
I know, right? This improves my mood.
Yes. Fantastic film. Fantastic.
This is All the President's Men.
1976.
1976. There's so many things I'm so interested in, like talking about, just having read up on this movie more than I had ever done in the past. Where would you like to start?
You really like?
Well, I do. I really do. Why do you say that? Just because I'm a nerd?
Because our show's called Movies We Like, but this is one that you did a lot of more research on.
Well, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how the show goes.
Yeah.
I don't know if I did that much.
Well, hey, it's a fantastic
So,
film.
what stands out to you about this movie? Why do you like this movie?
Well, let me answer your first question because they both kind of take a different path. What stands out for me is
We should say before you say that this is the third in the in Alan J. Pakula's paranoia trilogy,
right,
and it's the third that we're going to be talking about after Clute and the Parallax View, which we did last week. So you should go listen to those two shows too.
And watch those movies.
And definitely watch those movies. Yeah.
And then start looking over your shoulder.
Seriously.
The thing that stands out for me with this film, there are a few films that work as well as this, I think. It's based on a true story. It's something that, I won't say for everybody, because I think, different people in different parts of the world probably have their own perspective on American politics, particularly back in the 70s, at least in present day, right? But it's a film that portrays a moment that everybody realistically in the country back in 1976, really, who's watching the movie, should have known exactly what happened in the story, right? But
right, because it had just played out.
Yeah, literally, it had just happened. Like Nixon had just gone through the Watergate scandal and resigned. Everybody was aware of that. It's pretty big news when the president of a country resigns. And this movie talks about, how that all came to be. Everybody was all aware of how the story was going to end. That being said, it is still such a gripping film, and it's so engrossing that you just cannot stop watching it. And it has so many tense scenes, regardless of the fact that you know what's going on. And that, to me, is a sign of incredibly solid filmmaking from beginning to end, where you just buy into it, hook, line, and sinker. It pulls you along for a ride because it's so good. And it doesn't matter that you already know where it's going. It's the ride that is exhilarating.
I think you really hit it. This movie... we talk about pacing a lot when we talk about these things. And I think this movie in particular shows an artistry in the general sort of dramatic construction and pacing that so few movies have. And I found myself sitting there, I was watching it today, and I was sitting there just over and over saying, this guy, Pakula, is patient. I cannot think of a director, of a storyteller who is more patient than this guy is right here. To let the story play out and to let every single shot play out the way he does, I think is just, it is a further refinement of what we talked about last week with the Parallax View. And the Parallax View, I think in so many respects is, really gives us that wide sort of expanse. We talked about how all the shots are wide and you have these long cuts of people just going up escalators, and that builds the tension. But in many respects, that to me, that felt like just sort of it was a blunt instrument, right? And this movie is a scalpel of just absolute precision. Every single nuance is so perfectly intentioned that it's just one of those movies that you get so much out of every time you watch it.
Yeah, that's true. All the way through, like right from the start, all the way through the end.
Yeah.
I mean, just to talk about the start,
the so keyboard, powerful. Right?
Yeah, you're looking at a white screen for, I don't know what it is, 15, 20 seconds. And Robert Redford was talking about how what the intention was, although I don't know if it really played out that way in the theaters, was the lights would come down and you just see a white screen, and people would be thinking that the film hadn't started yet because it just looked like the film screen, right? And so people were just kind of twiddling their thumbs, just kind of not paying attention. And then all of a sudden, wham, that giant, typewriter key swings up and smacks the letter J right on the paper. And you realize that you're looking at an extreme close-up of a piece of paper as it types this thing out. And it's just, the sound is so intense. And man, if that's not something that just pulls you in and builds this intensity, and that's a great way to start. And he just keeps the tension all the way through. There's just so many good scenes and shots, like you were just saying.
Well, they're perfect. And I think going right out of that, when you talk about that sort of the hook that you get with that typewriter, and I think just the general use of the typewriter throughout is really beautiful. But going out of that, he goes straight into media, right? They play back the film of Nixon going in to
returning. It's his return trip from China.
Exactly. He's going in to give his to talk to the combined house.
Right.
And he lets that go for so long. You actually get lost in the applause of Congress. You actually get lost in the media and I have to imagine if you were sitting in theaters at the time that you had just seen, and yet it feels like you're watching a playback of it, and you forget. I mean, that is, to me, the effect of using the media like that before you have any actor speak one word is it brings you into the reality so effectively. By the time you actually see the first characters, the first, we're in the
break-in.
The break-in. Yeah. You feel like you are a part of this world, and I think the movie just nails it.
Yeah, it's so intense, and it is like a mystery film. It's just so wonderfully done, and having it look the way it does, our buddy Gordon, who had shot the last two films for Pakula. There's one in between. I feel like I can't remember. I don't think he shot that one. What was the film that was in between? Because he shot Clute, and then there was one, Love and Pain and the Whole Damn Thing, the parallax view, starting over. Wait, I'm skipping something. Starting over was later. The parallax view, then All the President's Men. So it's just Love and Pain and the Whole Damn Thing.
Love and Pain, the Whole Damn, parallax view, and All the President's Men.
But I don't. Let me look. Love and Pain and the Whole Damn Thing. I feel like where's the crew? I don't think that Gordon shot this one. No, Jeffrey Unsworth shot that one. So these three films, though, he shot, and the darkness all the way through really stands out. Not just the darkness, but also the brightness. I mean, the press room is such a gorgeously lit scene, or location. It's just such this even light. It's just glowing, emanating everywhere. It's beautifully lit, and it really contrasts with the rest of the darkness of the story.
The darkness of the story in every, I mean, it feels like if you're not in the newsroom, then you're lit by car headlights or flashlights.
Yeah.
I mean, everything just feels really gloomy. The newsroom, which is sort of ironic, right? Because this was sort of the era before, when the media was still doing reportage and not so much punditry, and it was a period where the whole media kind of organization, the whole media infrastructure, got to play the hero in this film. In many ways, where you have what Carl Bernstein and Bob Woodward represented to the Washington Post, but also, Harry Rosenfeld and Ben Bradley, who is brilliantly played by Jason Robards, and that the whole editorial team, represent this sort of level of intellectual and heroism. In the face of a mistrusted or distrusted political system. And not just distrusted, but bumbling. I mean, the way they play the initial robbery is you almost would be less surprised if when the guard and the police actually open the door if, Fozzie Bear and the Swedish Chef put their hands up. Like, those 5 idiots standing in that room, they're played as such doofuses.
They are. They really are.
And then they parade them into court. And you say, where are you? Well, I'm retired.
Yeah.
Central Intelligence Agency,
Yeah.
It was really beautifully done. Let's talk a little bit about the writing.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Carl Bernstein, Bob Woodward, the 2 journalists who broke this story, they wrote a book that came out 2 years before the movie. Was it 2 years? It came out in 1974, right? Mm-hmm. And then the film came out in 1976, and it was written by none other than the amazing William Goldman, who, from my understanding, he delivered a really solid script, but it needed work based on what Robert Redford and Alan J. Pakula were expecting. Then they brought in, who was it who wrote it, or who Bernstein actually went in?
Carl Bernstein was dating Nora Ephron at the time.
That's right.
The 2 of them wrote a draft of the script, and everybody hated it except for one scene.
Right.
And this is the part that I think is, there were 2 pieces of this that are so interesting. The only scene that remains in the movie from the Bernstein-Ephron script is the scene where Carl Bernstein tricks the secretary and sneaks into the office that he had been waiting all day. That's the only scene. And it is apparently the only scene that is wholly fictitious.
Oh, really?
In the whole film, the whole adaptation, apparently Pakula and Redford and what's his name? We just said his name, and now it's gone.
William Goldman.
William Goldman, right? Apparently, the 3 of them worked at great length to do appropriate interviews with all of the media people that were working at the Washington Post at the time that had been through this, with the political figures, to make sure they documented correctly. The entire film is, obviously from their perspective, incredibly thoroughly and well researched, except for that scene, the only the only piece of fiction in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And so the quote from William Goldman that I thought was so interesting is that he had said in Stories in the Screen Trade that if he could go back and do it again, he would absolutely not have taken this job. That he would distance himself as far as he can from this script.
Really?
Yeah.
Does he say why?
No, I don't. I don't see why.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I think that people being Redford and Pakula felt that, there were things with his draft that definitely needed work. So maybe it was the fact that they pushed for so much change, obviously with Bernstein and Nora Ephron making their changes, everything, and they didn't have William Goldman making the changes.
Well, William Goldman never read the Bernstein script. For what he says are legal reasons, he could not actually read the script. And so they when Redford and Pakula went back and said, we hated the Bernstein script, we're going to go back to you, but here's what we want you to do. Mm-hmm. It was apparently quite an arduous journey to get this script to screen. And yet, incredibly powerful. And one of the things that I think is so powerful about this movie is it seems to be the culmination of an effort to strike every single word that isn't absolutely in service to the scene, to the act, to the script. I mean, this is about as efficient a use of language, of what I would say sort of use of common language, as I think you'd see in the script. I mean, it is very dialogue light and really heavy on intense interpersonal moments. And I think specifically when the reporters are, interviewing people, the waiting is so thick.
Yeah, it is. I think one of my favorite scenes in the movie Well, I mean, there's so many. I love the deep throat scenes with Hal Holbrook, but the scene that always stands out to me is the scene when Woodward is on the phone calling, I can't remember his name, Dahlberg, the guy in Minnesota, right? He calls Dahlberg, he reaches Dahlberg. Dahlberg, gives him a little bit of information. He gets a call coming in he calls the guy at the whatchamacallit, the group to reelect or whatever. I'm blanking on committee to reelect, right? Creep. He calls the guy there who's running Creep. And then, Dahlberg calls back and gives him information, and just like the way that the intercutting between changing lines and all that stuff starts getting so intense, and you don't even realize it, but you're watching one shot of that phone conversation that's 6 minutes long. And it starts on this wide shot. Well, not wide shot. It's
not even that wide. It's a medium shot, and it's
a medium shot of him at his desk. But you can also see they use a split diopter lens, which basically has kind of an invisible line down the middle of it that gives you two different planes of focus. So on the right side of the frame is him in focus, in a medium shot. On the left side of the frame is in the background, like in the wide distance of the newsroom, is a group of people watching the news and listening to it. And the distraction of that is he's trying to focus on this conversation. And then I never even notice until it's almost too late. The camera is zooming in on him the whole time. And it finally hits me. I'm like, oh my God, we've been zooming in this whole time. It just builds this intensity as you're getting this information, and he's struggling to just like pull the information from people in any way he can. It's such an intense scene, and it's 6 minutes. It's this amazing 6 minute shot, and it's just one of the standout moments of the film for me because it really defines just that intensity and this drive that these people have to uncover the truth.
Well, and it highlights really one of the great performances of Robert Redford's career. I mean, it's 6 minutes of fantastic one-sided interrogation where you get him playing off of two phones for 6 minutes in a way that builds intensity, it builds pressure, and you want to hear, you don't even know what you want to hear, but what you want is that look of relief. It's that same look of relief that hits early in the film when Redford is doing his initial, or Woodward is doing his initial investigation, and he's talking about, what's his name? Howard. No, anyway, he's saying, he's on the phone with the guy and he says, well, of course, he did time with the CIA.
Right.
Well, yeah. I mean, surely if you're doing this kind of background investigation, you would have discovered that he's in the CIA. He was in the CIA. Oh, yeah, of course I would have. And there's that perfect look that you get on Redford's face, that you see that sort of realization that he has something, and he now has a purpose.
Yeah.
That's where you see purpose delivered, and it's kind of, oh, man, he's got this way of using the whites of his eyes, like the way his head tilts, but he looks up, so you get this just look of just sort of quizzical, just sort of realization. It's just really beautiful. He plays that so well.
It is. It's stunning. It really is.
It's at its core, this movie is really a buddy movie.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's two guys who are kind of, I won't say it's a contentious relationship, but it's, it's definitely kind of a, two people who wouldn't normally be working together, thrust together to do something,
Yeah, because it's not, I mean, it's, what you're watching is them building a relationship through pressure and investigation that is, it's certainly not a mystery because the audience knows how it's going to play out. It's sort of a thriller, because the audience actually knows more than the characters who are doing the investigation.
Right.
But at its very core, this is a movie about these two guys who are learning to trust one another, and about them learning to work together to gain the trust of their mentors, of the people who they deeply want to impress.
Yeah.
And there are so many perfect elements in this, or perfect bits in the script where you watch, particularly Woodward, defend getting sand kicked in his face by Ben Bradley. Of course, we don't have enough. We don't have the story. We don't have the story. We've got to get more.
Yeah. Yeah. Which, leads him to contacting his source, his secret source, Deep Throat.
Mm-hmm.
And that leads to just those, fantastically dark, creepy as all get out scenes in the parking garage when he, is talking to Deep Throat down there. And they're so well done. And it's just so interesting how little information Deep Throat kind of gives him and really forces him to find these puzzle pieces and put them together.
Yeah, Hal Holbrook is terrific.
No, he's a class act. He really is.
Really does a great job with the Deep Throat character. That whole bit. He's the smoking man.
Yeah, well, yeah, it really is. Didn't really think about it that way, but you're right.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting.
That split diopter got me really thinking. Have you ever shot with a split diopter adapter?
I don't know anybody who I work with who has. It's not as common these days, but I love the effect. And they use it quite frequently in this, always hiding the line either vertically or horizontally somewhere like on a column or across like the edge of a desk or
or even there's an arm. There's usually like in the office they get this awesome, Redford's phone arm is always just perfectly vertical.
Yeah.
You start to I don't know, it's used so well in this movie that it's always a surprise that, how are they doing that? How am I able to see the TV in focus when he is so far away? But then I was just doing a search for it. Man, these things were used all over the place in the 70s.
Yeah, they were. It was a popular tool because they could get some really unique looks with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But in the last two Gordon Willis films we watched, I don't recall any split diopter shots. Were there any? There weren't any.
I don't think there were.
View.
No,
I don't think
but
so.
Parallax View had so many of these just great big scapes, these wide angle.
Yeah. Which this definitely does have as well. Particularly, I think the standout is the Library of Congress shot that's directly over their head as they're looking through this enormous stack of checkout cards from all the books.
So I'm glad you brought that up. Okay,
and the camera just pulls up, and there's a couple dissolves, but essentially we start just over their heads, and we end up like on the ceiling, looking down on this enormous space. Again, this architectural space that our characters are in, and it looks like this giant wheel or a giant cog almost, and our characters are just like little specks caught on the cog of the system. Do you notice
whether or not there's any movement, like a slight rotation back and forth, particularly when it pulls out at its very farthest?
It looks like it. I don't.
I'm trying to figure. Is that like an artifact, or was that intentional?
I think back in the 70s. I see some shaking in the camera at some point. My sense is that, and I really have no idea how they did this, but my sense is that it was on some sort of like a rope mechanism that they basically were just lifting straight up. And it, it just had some wobble and some natural movement that they had to kind of disguise. I don't know,
Okay.
but I'm not sure if it was intentional. My hunch is it wasn't intentional.
Yeah, it might have. Obviously, I mean, I'm thinking it could be just film mechanism shutter jitter, mechanical. Kind of thing. It was just so regular, and I'm watching and I'm thinking, wow, they've kind of got me turning my head just a few degrees.
Yeah. I
wonder if they meant to do that.
But
I was going to say the other standout sort of wide shot is just the way they portray the newsroom as being just massive warehouse of desks.
Mm-hmm.
And then never, even if the desk, the cubicles have, some of the cubicles, you can kind of get the feeling of like departments are split with higher cubicles. Most of the cubicle walls are very low. They're like the half walls, but every camera placement captures at least 10 or 15 rows of lights that are totally unbroken. And so you get the feeling that no matter what the action is that you're looking at, there is something going on behind you every single shot. And that means when they do these dissolves to show time passing from the active kind of movement of the newsroom to nobody left in the newsroom, it's a huge impact.
Oh, yeah.
That visual impact when it's just the place is deserted.
Right. Yeah, and it is a really interesting environment. And that entire newsroom was all built on a stage. They were not able to actually use the newsroom. Obviously, the newspaper is actually using it 7 days a week. So they had to build their entire set. And they went so far. I mean, they took pictures, like ridiculous research pictures of the actual Washington Post newsroom, but they then went a step further and collected the actual trash from the Washington Post that they could use in the trash cans at their place. They went so far trying to recreate it like inch by inch across the entire newsroom. I mean, it's pretty stunning that they made it look so good. I love it.
I love it.
Yeah.
It really, it does feel like a working newsroom. I was just while you were talking, I was bringing that up, and it looks like the cost of the reconstruction of that newsroom was just under $500,000.
Isn't that crazy? Holy cow.
$500,000 to build that entire set.
Yeah.
It seems like nothing.
And even like the phone books, like they actually recreated all those phone books from all the different states and everything that he could be flipping through when he was trying to find Dahlberg's number. Yeah. It's nuts. I mean, I think it won. George Jenkins, the production designer, rightfully won an Oscar for that, along with George Gaines, set decorator, at the Oscars. And everything just looks stunning in this film. It is
meticulous.
Mm-hmm.
So what about the numbers? How did this movie do?
I don't know what the budget was, but domestically it grossed just about 70.6 million.
Mm-hmm.
For a 1976 film, I think that was probably considered pretty good. It fared well. It was a popular film. It got very good reviews.
How? Very good reviews. How does that? I'm just bringing up Clute, which I think we said that it brought in 12 million
mm-hmm.
and change, and then the Parallax View.
We couldn't find any.
That one we couldn't find. So somewhere between Clute and the Parallax View, he people started really getting into these movies. What a great property, though. If you're gonna, as a capstone to this unofficial trilogy, you have these stories about mistrust that you're trying to get out, and then this thing comes along,
to
get your hands on.
Yeah,
beautiful.
I mean, Robert Redford is the one who actually
secured this.
He secured the rights to the story. He actually. He kind of was tracking it from the beginning and feeling like there could be something there. And then he came across a profile of Woodward and Bernstein as the two guys. So beyond the actual story itself, he came across the story of these two reporters, and he said, now that's an interesting story.
Mm-hmm.
One guy this is what Robert Redford's quote is, one guy was a Jew, the other guy was a WASP. One guy was an extreme liberal, and the other guy was a Republican. One guy was considered a better writer than the other. They didn't like each other, and yet they had to work together. I thought that I would love to do a little black and white movie that maybe I could produce with two unknown actors, just a small movie. So obviously that changed a little bit as he moved forward with it, but
Well, it is truly a fantastic film. Fantastic film. Is this one on your list of? Is this one of the scripts you teach?
It's not. No, it's not. I have a specific set of scripts from the book that I teach. It's not in this. But it is. It's a stunning. It's just a fantastic script. It really is fantastic script. Fantastic film. I mean, it's hard to go wrong with anything in it, really, from beginning to end. The cast is spectacular. Aside from Robert Redford and Dustin Hoffman and just Jason Robards, who is, I think he won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor for this. And then we've got Jack Warden, who always has had a place in my heart because of the wonderful, wonderful TV show that he was in the, was it the 80s? Crazy Like a Fox?
Oh, yeah. You're a big Crazy Like a Fox fan.
I loved that movie. I couldn't get enough of it.
That's
I think it only ran for 1 or 2 seasons, but I just loved it. That was just such a great film. So that was my introduction to him as a kid. And then I just, he's been in so many good movies.
Yeah.
I mean, geez, 12 Angry Men,
and we should say Martin Balsam is terrific. Jane Alexander is not in it very long.
But she was nominated for Best Supporting Actress.
For Best Supporting I think she was in it 12 minutes or something.
Yeah, very short.
Meredith Baxter, great. The young Meredith Baxter. And of course, Ned Beatty. Again, not in it very long, but man,
boy, he brings a lot to that scene.
I love Ned Beatty.
Yeah, I do too. He's so good.
And I think the one of the sort of unsung heroes of the film is Stephen Collins as Hugh Sloan, and I think Stephen Collins is one of those actors that is just, he's a utility player. You know, he always sort of just fits. In this film he plays the sheepish, guilty guy who just, now this is as in contrast to Robert Walden as Donald Segretti, who plays the creepy, guilty guy. It's just really terrific performances.
Yeah, and James Karen, good old Jimmy Karen, plays Stephen Collins' lawyer very briefly in one little scene at the end. But I've worked with him before. He's a fantastic actor who's just one of the most congenial people you could meet. And he's been acting since the 60s. I mean, he was in Frankenstein Meets the Space Monster. He was in Hercules in New York. He was in this. He was in Capricorn 1, China Syndrome.
Jazz singer,
Poltergeist.
Poltergeist was the one I think where I first sort of knew of him.
Yeah, I mean he's just done
great.
Yeah, I love James Karen. Great stuff. And then Polly Holiday. You can't go wrong with her.
Yeah.
Flo,
exactly.
Yeah, gotta love that. So I mean the cast is great. It was nominated for 8 Oscars. Best Picture, Best Editing, Best Director, Supporting Actress, Best Adapted Script, Best Sound, Best Art Direction, Set Decoration, Best Supporting Actor, and it won those last 4. William Goldman got an Oscar for the script, the Best Sound, and then I already said Jason Robards and the production designers. So, really great film. And, we've talked about this before, how great of a year in film this was. The 5 pictures nominated for Best Picture that year. I mean, it was up against Taxi Driver, Network, Bound for Glory, and Rocky. I mean, just what a year for films. I mean, you can't go wrong with any of those.
This was that thing where you wanted to do a series of the whole year.
I do. I wanted to do the 1976 Best Picture nominees because I think all 5 of those are just such great films. Terrific. Yeah.
Well, this is certainly merits being on the list of the movies we like. It is really a terrific movie, and I think of the 3, to me, this movie of the 3 really holds up as the best one, and it feels like the other 2 were done on the practice field. This one just captures all of the elements that I liked in the first two movies, Clute and the Parallax View, and it just executes on all cylinders. I think it's just beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, there's nary a problem with this film. Can I say that? Can I say nary a problem?
No, I don't think that you can. I think we're gonna veto nary from here. Right. Well, I got nothing else. What are we gonna? Do we know what we're gonna do next? Is this another thing where we're gonna be surprised?
Well,
or surprising people?
We're gonna. We
will be equally surprised.
Yeah. No. Well, we're gonna do. I think in honor of the season, right?
Oh, sure we are.
Yeah, in honor of baseball starting up this week, I think we're gonna do a baseball series.
That's awesome. I'm very excited. I'm a big fan of baseball movies. But we're not going to tell which baseball movies we're going to do.
No, that'll be a surprise. That's the surprise. We won't say which ones we're going to be doing.
So we're hitting baseball.
So, but we're still determining if next week is going to actually be the official start of the baseball series or not, right?
That's right. That's right. We may need to take a rain week. Take a pass. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. I will be if we are doing a show, I will be doing it from Beantown, Boston, which is not a bad town to be doing a baseball film.
Oh, that'd be great.
So we'll see. We'll see what we can work out.
Yep.
That's all I got.
Wonderful. Do your little spiel.
Oh yeah. We got to do a spiel. Well, why don't you tell the world where they can find you, Andrew?
They can find me at rashpixel.tv.
No.
Is that the easier way to just say it? Yes, you can find me at the Movie Monkey on Twitter.
That's so nice that you just did that. Rashpixel.tv, you bet you can.
That's right. You don't need to go anywhere else.
There's a little place on there you can click at show hosts, and you can click right there on Andy's little name, and it'll bring up his little face and his little Twitter.
All my links, yes.
You can find all the other Rash Pixel shows there too. You can make sure that you subscribe to the show in iTunes. That would really help us out. And if you like the show and you like the movies that we're talking about, join the conversation on Facebook, the Rash Pixel page, or either of Andy and my page. We talk all over the place, or on the Google Plus page,
or iTunes comments,
Absolutely, we pretty much comment anywhere you want.
Yes,
we will do our best to answer. And yeah, you can find me there too, Rash Pixel TV. I'm not hard to track down.
That's right.
So that's all I got. You can also find the show on Stitcher Smart Radio, and that is also free. And you just jump into your app store of choice, and you can subscribe to the show in Stitcher Smart Radio app for Android, iPad, iOS, iPhone, Kindle Fire,
all those good things.
Palm Pre, maybe. I don't actually know about that. That's all I got. So go subscribe to the show. We really appreciate it, and to all of you who have written in and commented on the show already, thank you. Keep doing it. We like hearing from you. You guys are awesome.
Yes, we do.
That's what we got.
Good Fantastic.
Show, I'll talk to you next week, my friend.
Nary a problem with this episode.
Well, there wasn't.
Not until that, huh?
Here at The Next Reel, we've been passionately discussing movies week after week since 2011. That's a lot of movies and a lot of conversation.
Sure is, Pete, and to be honest, it's a lot of work too, but it's work that we love. If you have been enjoying our show, we'd like to remind you that there are ways to support us even if you're not able to become a member just yet. You might have heard us talk about our new watch page where we've listed every movie that we've talked about paired with Amazon or Apple links to rent or buy the movie.
Now we'd like to introduce you to our originals page. Let's take a trip down memory lane, Andy. Do you remember what the first film we discussed on The Next Reel was that was an adaptation?
Well, let's see. It wasn't obviously our Indiana Jones series because those were all original. Then we did Charlie Kaufman. Oh, of course. It was adaptation from Susan Orlean's Orchid Thief.
Exactly. We have covered quite a few adaptations over the years, and now we're providing a way for our listeners to delve into the original source material.
That's right. Just head over to thenextreel.com/originals, and you can see the list of all the adaptations that we have discussed.
From our David Fincher series, featuring The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, The Social Network, Zodiac, Benjamin Button, and Fight Club.
To our Paranoia trilogy with The Parallax View and All the President's Men, we have covered a variety of adaptations.
Those were some great discussions, especially Fight Club. And let's not forget our baseball series with The Natural and Field of Dreams, adapted from Shoeless Joe.
And Up in the Air and Thank You for Smoking. So many memorable conversations.
Absolutely. And you know what's exciting? Each purchase you make through our links doesn't cost you any extra, but a percentage goes to support the next reel in our family of shows.
You can support us while diving deeper into these fantastic stories, whether it's the paper, audiobook, or Kindle version.
We've also included plays and movies. If they were the source, we've put it on there.
So what are you waiting for? Head to thenextreel.com/originals, support The Next Reel, and get your next great read today.
I'm off to reread Fight Club. Now, where did I put my Kindle?